Welcome to the French Wedding Podcast with your host Naïm, the only podcast in English about weddings in France. Great conversations, tips and insights about your French wedding, some wisdom before your big day, and the opportunity to hear wedding professionals actually living and working in France, only for your day to be the most amazing to remember.
Hello everyone and welcome to the French Wedding Podcast. Greetings from France. This is the place where we're recording this show. I'm Naïm, professional ceremony officiant based in my hometown Paris, and I created this show especially for future brides and grooms willing to get married in Paris or anywhere in France. Each episode is an occasion to meet a main actor of the industry, can be a vendor such as a wedding planner, hair and makeup artists, bridal salon, videographer, venue owner, bloggers, you name it. This show exists to bring you some insight about how people do things in France regarding the wedding industry, but we also share funny stories, things to know, and special memories when we happen to work together on the very same wedding. My guest today started Mountain Weddings, a very special wedding planning business based in France, in order to raise money for a charity in India. Meet Vanessa, a dedicated woman on a mission. Vanessa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure is here as well. I'm talking from Paris and you're in Mosin, you said.
Yes, I'm right in the heart of the mountains in the French Alps. It is beautiful.
I love this region. I'm so lucky to be French. Sometimes I don't realize that my country is like the most amazing. We can have like Côte d'Azur, the southwest, south of France, French Riviera, and of course the Alps. So Vanessa, thanks again for being here. I am talking to you today because I was very surprised by your website, to be honest. When I was doing my homework, I was looking at it and I found little hidden gems, like you're here to connect to secret undiscovered locations, mountain weddings. Let's talk about that.
Yes. So we are a team who have been living in the mountains for together about 40 years now. So we have a lot of knowledge that a lot of other people don't have as tourists, and it's really wonderful that I literally know places that you just wouldn't find if you came here on holiday, and I can take you there and I can get you married there, and we have all this knowledge and all these local contacts, and we can just connect everyone together and create the most epic, wonderful day that you've never seen before. You know, you'll never have a wedding that's similar to our weddings. It's amazing.
This is a very bold statement. I love that. We make the impossible possible. I really like that.
Possible.
Does this come to you? How did it started? Tell me everything.
Okay, so I was engaged 8 years ago and I wanted to get married abroad. I'd never actually been to France at this point. I met my fiance in Greece and we decided that we would like to get married on a beach. And I found it very difficult to organise a wedding that wasn't just a package out of a catalogue. I wanted to wear no shoes and dance on a beach and dance around a bonfire and have a hog roast and just have a lovely time with all of my friends and not have to pick option 1, option 2, or option 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I just found it so difficult. And then me and my fiance moved to the mountains, and I had the same trouble trying to make my perfect day that was actually personalized to me and not just to a catalogue or a holiday company or a package, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, maybe I start this. Maybe I create a company where someone can come to me and they can be like, Vanessa, this is what I want. I want all these things. These are things I love. This is what I want. And we can create it, because why shouldn't you be able to create it? And we just use local independent suppliers, and we just get everyone together and we just create a team, and we create completely personalized, specific days to exactly what you want, rather than just pick an option, you know? And I think that's so important.
I think it is. And I've heard this many times, that wedding planners started their business because they were not satisfied with what they were seeing. Do you feel that it's something like that happened to you?
Yes, definitely. I think it's very... Now I run a wedding planning business. I see why people offer options, because it's easier and it's more beneficial for the business to just offer a package. But that's not what we want as brides. We want our day to be like nothing anyone has ever seen before. And I think that's just got lost along the way. And hopefully, as a company, that's why we're different, because we can really make it into whatever you want it to be.
So drive me a little bit into it. How do you exactly provide this experience to your brides?
Okay, so we, first of all, I make sure that I'm the right fit for a bride, because we get so close. Some of my my brides are my best friends, and we talk all the time. And if I don't feel like we're going to have that relationship, there are so many other wonderful wedding planners in this area, and I can promote you to them. I can give you to them, because if we're not best friends, then it's just not going to work. And I think that's the most important thing. And then I just flew back to the UK last month to meet some of my brides. I think it's really important that we make the effort to meet people face to face. And I think that's a really nice thing that we offer. And then we just talk about exactly what you want, and then we figure it out and we make it happen.
That sounds very simple. I like it. For those who don't know, there's a lot of work behind what Vanessa just said, I guess.
Yes.
But I really agree with what you just said. You need to be close to your brides and to the people who are going to take care of you on your special dates. I think it's important to be sure that you're a good fit, rather than include everyone and give them package to unpersonal things. I really agree with that. So you have a team of 4 people. So is that true?
We have 4 at the moment. Mm-hmm. When the weddings start happening again, we'll go up to a team of 10.
Okay.
Just because I like to make sure that we've got everything covered and double covered. Because people are paying us a lot of money. It's the most important day of their lives, and I'd rather be over prepared than under prepared. But we have 4 full-time staff at the moment who are just keeping things running whilst everything is obviously on lockdown or not going ahead as normal. And then we'll go up to a bigger team again once everything starts again, which will hopefully be very soon.
Yeah, because it looks like everything is flying for you. You have a lot of weddings for next year and more than the year after.
Yes,
already.
We have weddings up to 2025, which is amazing.
It is for a pretty young company. You started during probably the best time of the universe last year, right?
Yes. So we're just over a year old, which in hindsight maybe wasn't the best time to start a wedding company. But also it's just given me so much time to get to know the brides and to really work on who we want to be as a company, so we can offer the best services to our brides. And I mean, between us, we've got so much experience in events anyway. I did my first event 12 years ago, not as mountain weddings, but 12 years ago, I did my first event for 500 people. And then we've got Sophie Phil, who is my right-hand woman. She is amazing. She's done Glastonbury. She's just about to go off to Senegal to run an event out there at the moment, because obviously she's got no events to run for me. But we've got a phenomenal team. And I think actually as a company, the past year has been, obviously it's not been wonderful, but it's also been really nice just to take that time to get to know our brides and just to really figure out exactly what we want to be offering and making sure that what we're offering is exactly what the bride wants, which has been great.
Great. What do you think helped you to go through this pandemic situation and uncertain times?
So I have always had a dream.
I heard you're very stubborn. That's what I've heard.
Yes, I am very, very stubborn. And when I tell people I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it well. Which sometimes maybe is to my detriment, but with this company, it's what I've always wanted to do. And I have realized that we have started a charity in India for women and children who don't feel safe. So we're creating safe houses. Okay. And it's obviously the pandemic in itself has been a roller coaster, but having a goal that Mountain Weddings is helping us fund this charity really helps me work 7 days a week and get out of bed morning after morning at 5 o'clock, because I know that we're doing it for such a good cause, as well as creating the most epic days for these wonderful people. We're also trying to help women who unfortunately can't help themselves. So a lot of our profits do go into this charity. We pledged to give at least 10% of our yearly profits, but in matter of fact, I'd give everything I have to this charity. It is the reason that I started this business, and it is just the most wonderful thing. And it really has helped us get through this pandemic, because it's just such a bigger picture, which is great.
I think we should pause for a second and talk a bit more about the charity that you're working for. Actually, can you tell me a little bit more about the safe houses and how does it work? I think it's important.
So I lived in India 7 years ago, and I stayed with a family, and I met the most wonderful child. She was called Percy, and she is the youngest of 5 children. And the older 4 were all brothers. And sadly, in India, when you're born a girl, there was a line that was said to me, and it's just stuck with me forever. If you're born a girl, you're seen as a liability, not an asset.
Yes.
And
sadly,
the men, yes, and it's horrendous. And the men then look at you and try and figure out how to turn you into an asset. And the things going on over there are just unspeakable. And I just fell in love with this family. And Percy, she was about 8 years old, and she literally she put everyone in their place. She was so sure of what she wanted. And she turned around to me one day and she said, "Vanessa, I'm going to be the president of India." And I looked at her and I was like, "You are. You're going to be the president of India." And I just, it's so easy to forget how easy it is to influence someone's life over there. And it makes me sad that we don't do it more. And I realized if I could create a company that would help these women, that's all I want. Like, I don't, as a female, I don't necessarily want to get married and have children. I just want to create a difference to these women in India who haven't been brought up in such a privileged world as I have. And so this company, Mountain Weddings, has been started so that we have the vehicle to create safe houses all across India where these women can go, and we can teach them basic entrepreneurial skills so that they can be even just setting up a market stall, so that they don't have to rely on their families and things like that. And like literacy, teaching them how to read and write, and just things that will help them so they don't have to rely on their families so much.
I think it changed a lot in the vision of people when they're hiring your services. I think. Do you think it's hard for people to understand this situation, like getting married and pledging for a charity? I don't think it's incompatible, but do you think some people can think of this?
Yes, definitely. I do struggle with how much we should push it out across Mountain Weddings that we're doing this. However, I think it's such a nice thing. I think it's become very, the wedding industry sometimes does get tarnished with, because weddings are quite expensive. And I just like to show that although weddings can be expensive, it's not necessarily for the wrong reasons. And you're paying these amounts because you're hiring really talented people. But also, I just like to show that actually we are actually, with all the money that you're spending, because people do spend their life savings on their wedding because it's the best day of their lives, and they put all this money into it. And how I just think it's such a lovely thing that you're putting all this money into this one day, but actually you're making a difference in India to all these women's lives. I think that's such a nice thing to be able to say, because your wedding is over in a weekend, and although you've got these memories and it's absolutely phenomenal, it's also really nice that your money is still carrying on helping other women in a third world country.
I think it's an amazing thing, and you're the first person doing this that I've ever met. So I think it's very authentic and original. And obviously, I will leave the link of the charity or anything that's related to this idea of the safe houses in the show notes for people to obviously see what's going on and maybe hire your services, or maybe give something to the charity. It's possible, I guess, directly without hiring you. Yeah.
We do charity galas and things all across the Alps as well, just to help with the charity. Because you know, we're already running the events. We're already best friends with our suppliers, and they all want to help. So, yes.
And why did you choose this location right now, where you are now? From India to there, well, in the UK. So I need a bit of help and guidance for what happened.
So I grew up in the UK,
Okay.
and then I left home when I was 18, and I traveled the world. And to be honest, France was never high on my list of places to go.
That's okay.
I traveled all around looking for the perfect place to set up my company. And I actually went to Morzine in France as a mistake 8 years ago. And then I came here and I was like, how have I never heard of this place before? And I've been here, it took my heart, and I've been here ever since. I left about 4 years ago for a summer, when I went to India, and then we came back, and this is it. It's the most beautiful place in the world. It has everything that you could ever want. The people are wonderful. The cuisine, oh my God, French cuisine is the best. And I've never looked back since.
Great. And what are your plans for 2022, for example, that you want to share with us? Something that you have in mind, a particular goal for next year, except that to wish the end of COVID and lockdowns. Of course, I think we're all sharing this wish. But do you have something that you want to share with the audience?
I think for 2022, my biggest wish is, obviously, it's heartbreaking seeing a lot of our couples having to postpone. And it's not so much wishing the end of COVID, it's just wishing the end of people having to compromise. And 2022 is looking amazing for weddings. We've got so many wonderful couples who are getting married, and I'm so excited. And I get so invested that I know I'm just going to spend 2022 crying with happy tears. But I think it's just for everything just to get back to normal, and being able to see people hug people, and just seeing the business flourish in a way that means that everyone's just happy and everyone's getting what they wanted.
Great. I think it's a good thing to wish for everyone and for the entire industry. I was reading, by the way, an article that you posted about how to postpone your wedding. And I think it's very clever that you posted this, because a lot of brides and grooms who canceled their weddings in 2020 and maybe in 2021 needed a lot of guidance from suppliers. Do you think that flexibility is very important for us in the industry?
Yes, I feel like one thing that I say to a lot of couples is that even if you don't take us on as a wedding planner, I will happily look over contracts for you free of charge, just to make sure that you have that flexibility, because unfortunately not everyone can be flexible at the moment, because it's their business, it's their livelihood. You can't always commit to being able to rearrange things. And I just want brides to just make sure, especially because wedding insurance at the moment is such a hard thing to come by. I just want to make sure that people are checking their contracts and that they are able to reschedule. So we offer a 28-day free rescheduling policy. That basically means if COVID means that you can't, obviously there's terms and conditions. It has to be that COVID is stopping all your guests coming from your wedding, or that there's quarantine, all these things. But if 28 days out, you decide that you need to reschedule your wedding, we will do it free of charge. And we've worked with every single one of our suppliers and made sure that they're happy to do this too, because people need that flexibility. And it's so hard seeing brides lose all their money when actually it is avoidable. And I just beg people to make sure they've got contracts that state that they can change their wedding day. Because if you can, and you've got a wedding planner, although it's heartbreaking, it's we can do all that for you. We can literally take your date. We've had a couple that has rearranged 3 times now, and we just have dates in the diary, which is heartbreaking. But also I've made sure with every single supplier for their wedding that they're not going to lose money, and that they are available for all the dates in the future. So it is very possible. And I really think that it is something that brides can even now, even though we're coming out the light at the end of the tunnel, it is something that we still offer because I think it's very important.
I think it's super, super important to be flexible, and what you provide is not something that everybody does in the industry, sadly. But it's quite hard to be in the middle of the fires. I know your position. I know what it is to be between suppliers and brides and grooms, and I think it's super, super easy, but also difficult in the matter of all the stress involved and the situation. Some people are going sadly bankrupt, so
Yes.
it's a good thing to do, and I appreciate that you do that. What do you recommend the time frame for a bride this year to contact you? If, for example, she wants to get married, they want to get married next year. Do you think a year in advance is enough now, or would you think more?
I think if you are engaged and you haven't booked your venue yet, I think you need to book it.
Have you heard, people? Contact Vanessa right now. She knows, you know. You just got engaged? Okay. Call me. That's what it is.
We have brides contact us and say that they want to get married in 2023 and it's ridiculous, and is it too far in advance to be looking? And I'm like, no, we're nearly full for 2023.
Yeah.
But I think once you've got your wedding planner and your venue booked in, I think everything else is a lot more flexible and fluid. There's so many talented suppliers that if one is gone, at least there's hundreds more. If you have a dream venue, then I think you just need to get it booked in, check that their contract allows for flexibility. And because all of our contracts with all of our venues, they do offer a 28-day rearrange. So why wouldn't you book it in, because otherwise you could be looking at 2025, and that's not even a sales tech. That's literally,
oh my God.
It's because I think I saw a stat, and it was hundreds of thousands of weddings in the UK got postponed last year. I think it was 300, don't quote me on this, 300 and something thousand.
Wow. That's enormous.
They all still want to get married, and then people are still getting engaged, and it's just, yeah. If you're engaged, I'd highly recommend booking a venue as soon as you can, even if it's in for 4 or 5 years time.
No, you're right. I was speaking with another French wedding planner. She's called Katerina, and she was saying a clever thing. She was saying 2022 is going to be 2020 people canceled, who 2021 couples canceled. So it's going to be 3 year in one. So
yes,
this goes in your direction. I think I agree with that. So I would suggest people to get busy and book their weddings. Definitely.
Yes. And you're a celebrant, is that right?
I am, yeah. I happen to be. That's
so,
what
so
I
you're
do.
going to have a very busy year next year as well.
Yes. We're doing elopements and weddings in Paris and France, all over. By the way, you're doing France, or do you also offer Italy and Spain? Because I've seen that your website is in Italian as well.
Yes, so we are based in France. We started in France. I live in France. I head office in France, but we are expanding to we're expanding to Italy and Switzerland at the moment.
Great,
because the Alps are just great. They're just wonderful.
Italy is so beautiful as well. That they have. I mean, Switzerland is another a dream place as well. But I'm more Mediterranean, and
yes.
it's more Spain and warm weather and cuisine and risottos, and don't get me started with this. So Italy, yeah, I really look forward to celebrate unions in Italy as well.
Yes.
That's something that I have in the back of my mind. So good idea. Vanessa, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me in this gray Sunday in Paris. And I think that we're gonna end up here. Do you have something that you want to say to the audience before we go?
No, that's perfect. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been lovely.
Thank you so much, and good luck for everything. And I'm sure that I will cross your path one day.
I hope so.
Thanks again. Hey guys, thanks again for listening to the show today. You can find more information on our guests in the show notes, as well as my contact and my website. If you have any questions regarding your French wedding, I'm happy to help. Also, please do not hesitate to leave a review for the show. There's also a link for that. That will literally take 1 minute of your precious time and will mean the world to me. I always appreciate your support. Thank you again very much for your time and feedback. Wishing you a great day or a great night anywhere you are in the world. I send you some good vibrations and we'll talk to you again soon for a new episode. Bye bye.